Hey, this is Bob Carey from Garden Talk here at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg with Tim Schaefer, the Executive Director of the Fish and Boat Commission. Good to see you here, man.
Bob, great to be here with you.
So this is one of what I call the winter iconic shows over here at the Farm Show. Probably one of the better attended shows and long-running shows. So if you have cabin fever, this is the show to get out and kind of spread your wings a little bit. And honestly, today's weather is the kind of thing that man, I shouldn't be here. I should be on the stream.
Well, tell me about it. And there has been a steady stream of customers coming through. You can actually buy your fishing license here at our booth at the show, and it has been nonstop all day. As you said, people have cabin fever and thinking about getting out of the water.
So let's talk about licenses a little bit. So it's really convenient to purchase a license here. There's some news in Pennsylvania about what a license looks like.
Sure. So just last week, our Board of Commissioners passed the final regulation eliminating the display requirement. So a few years ago, you may remember, Game Commission did the same thing for your hunting license. Going into this season now, you will no longer need to display your fishing license. We're trying to make things as convenient for people as possible. So one thing we would hear is that, and Mike's going to hand us a copy of the, thanks Mike. So this is what the license will continue to look like. This is one of our holders. But sometimes we'll hear people say, well, I don't have a printer handy, don't have a license holder handy. Ultimately, where we'd like to get is for these things. Okay. And so it's the Friday night before Memorial Day weekend. You're at a friend's place, you want to go fishing, and we want to go click, 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 and you got your license. Okay. That's the goal. As of right now, you still need to print a copy and have it on your person, but we're working right now with the legislature to get to the point pretty soon where you'll just be able to have it on your phone.
So, Tim, one of the things that I'm excited about is the voluntary permit.
Yeah.
So I bought mine last year, and what I discovered when I tried to buy another one at the show that I had actually purchased one for 3 years. But tell us about the voluntary permit.
Sure, and we have a copy, a form here at our show to explain how we're going to be using those funds. So last year we started for the first time. It's a donation. It's called a permit. It's really a misnomer. It's more of a donation for a couple different categories. We have bass, muskie, wild trout, and a habitat stamp as well that you can purchase. Those dollars go into a special fund to be used for purposes related to those species. And just one example, because I was looking at it earlier, Lake Marburg down in York County, going to be doing some bass habitat work there. We have examples across the Commonwealth spread out for all the different species that I mentioned, all the different projects. We're actually putting them to work for the anglers this year. We're also looking for ways to leverage those dollars. So again, Marburg is an example. There's local clubs there that may be helping to raise funds for bass habitat. We leverage our dollars and they can go even further.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is, a show like this is really consumptive in a way. So it's people who want to pull something from the resource. This is really an opportunity to contribute something to the resource.
It is, absolutely. And you talk about consumptive. One of the things we find more and more is the catch and release ethic. Listen, I like to keep fish and eat them just as much as anybody, but we find more and more, myself included, you're out there for the experience. And so the fish that we stock may be caught several times. Bass, catfish, you name it, people really just value the experience, and it's not about the consumption as much anymore as it is about the enjoyment of being out there.
Hey, it's Bob Carey from Garden Talk with Tim Schaefer from the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. He's the Executive Director, and we're talking about licenses and things that are new here with the Fish Commission, including how you display or not your license. One of the things that's on the horizon, I'm sure folks are getting twitchy about, is opening day of trout season.
Big time. So Friday was sort of like Christmas Eve for us because we released our trout stocking schedules. Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission stocks 3.2 million trout every year. We have tens of thousands of miles of wild trout water, which are terrific. But those trout stocking schedules really get people's attention. They're available on our website, fishandboat.com. We have a mobile app. It's Fish Boat PA, spelled just like it sounds. You can literally click on that and tells you whichever county you're in, what the streams close by you that are being stocked. Again, 3.2 million trout statewide, over 700 streams, over about 130 lakes that we'll be stocking. We really appreciate help when we're doing those stockings. So if you see one that works for your schedule, come on out at the meeting spot at the time and come join us.
So one of the things that certainly impressed me when I was old enough to realize it is the logistics feat that actually getting all those fish in the water is. And I like the term the Great White Fleet.
It is. So we have 14 state fish hatcheries statewide. 8 of them are focused on trout. And they really do the bulk of their work. I mean, most of their work happens preseason. We do a lot of in-season stocking, but come March 1st, the Great White Fleet will be hitting the road everywhere from Erie County to Philadelphia and everywhere in between. It's a huge logistical undertaking.
So one of the other things that folks may not be aware of or could be license holders for a long time is they don't realize that the Fish and Boat Commission has cognizance over more than just fish.
We do. So if you take a look around, we've got images of non-game species. So yeah, you think of trout, you think of bass, you think of catfish, muskie, but we're responsible for all fish, reptiles, and amphibians in Pennsylvania. And we have biologists that will work, say, there's a developer that wants to put a project in that may be close to a sensitive species. How do you do that in a way that doesn't impact that species? So we have really, really great biologists that help to conserve the resource as well as help to work with the folks that are out there trying to do projects.
So just to wrap up a little bit, what would your message be to folks this season about, treating the resource properly? What are things that folks may inadvertently do that isn't really good as for outdoorsmen?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and I'd say if there's anything people remember from this show, is wear your life jacket. The biggest resource is the people that are out there doing the fishing and boating, and we want them to come home safe. I mean, that's our number one concern. So particularly right now, I have a long sleeve shirt under this, and I'm almost sweating here. I didn't expect it to be this warm today. It's a warm day. People think, what's the big deal? I might get out of my kayak or on a john boat. That water is still pretty cold. We have mandatory life jacket wear from November 1st through April 30th. Where any boat 16 feet or less or any canoe or kayak, you have to wear your life jacket. So that's the one thing I'd really say is protect that resource, being the person who's doing the fishing or boating with a life jacket.
So it's not exactly breaking news, but for folks in our region, the Yellow Breeches Creek Boiling Spring is an iconic spot, and there's big news coming along the pike for the Boiling Springs Children's Lake. You want to tell us about it?
Absolutely, and that's a place that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Children's Lake in Boiling Springs, as you said, an iconic location. That's a lake that the Commonwealth owns and the Fish and Boat Commission manages on behalf of the Commonwealth. Like a lot of old infrastructure, whether it's a road or a bridge or the farm show building here, stuff gets old and you need to fix it. And so the dam there at Children's Lake is at the point now where we need to rebuild and fix the dam. We were really grateful a couple years ago, worked closely with the local legislators, with Senator Reagan, now it's Torrin Ecker, but before that, the former legislator that was there, we had Will Tallman was there, helped us a lot, worked with Governor Wolf to get the money released to repair the dam. So it was just really the way you want government to work, between the governor working with the legislators to get the money released. So we've got the design is underway.
All right, all good news here from the Farm Show at the Great American Outdoors Show with Tim Schaefer, the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. I'm Bob Carey for Garden Talk. See you at the show.